Hello and good morning everyone, and welcome to Freedom Harvest Farms. I'm of course Aislinn Campbell, and back there behind the screen is my new partner. On the other side is my mom, Vicki Jameson. Give yourself a little hand, give a little wave. There you go, there she is. So she's helping me out today. This is her first time, or maybe second time. I think you've helped me out in the past once or twice, but you definitely are here for the learning, just like I am and just like we all are, right? Today I'm starting to harvest up my potatoes. So I've got a few nice looking potatoes. They're red potatoes that are coming out of the ground here. Some nice big ones, some kind of smaller ones. And I've really just got started on this. I'm using two tools. This one to kind of pull back the dirt really gently. And then I'm using a scoop trowel to softly kind of dig them up without damaging them. And I'm just gonna go all the way down this row. You need to make sure that when you've got a lot of rain, that your potatoes are not sitting in wet soil, and mine are sitting in some pretty wet soil, so it was time for me to get them out. I can tell that also the plants are starting to die back, and so that's what you're looking for. So I'll probably harvest this one. I planted this in January, and then I'll harvest this one as well, and then leave this last one right here a little longer. It's looking still very nicely, so I think it still is trying to put on its potatoes over there. I also want to spend some time talking to you today about some 5 benefits to mulching. I talk a lot about mulching over all of the years that I've been doing this and why it's so important. But I thought today we could do a little bit of a focus on what are the 5 main benefits. Now, the last 5 weeks we've been focusing on the 5 principles of regenerative agriculture, and I took that down one by one. And so if you want to go back and look at that, you can also find it up on YouTube. If you're here on YouTube, I ask you to subscribe, like, and give me a comment as to what you're coming across in your own gardens out there. But I thought that we'd talk specifically about 5 benefits not to regenerative agriculture, but to mulching today. You guys know that I spend a lot of time putting mulch in my garden. You also know that this is my newest garden. This is the garden that I planted that I built in January. Started planting with these potatoes first in January, so of course it's going to be one of the first things I'm harvesting out of here. And then week by week I planted and got it all planted up here. The very first mulch that I put in this garden was some leaves that I collected. We went and picked up 17 of the big trash bags full of live oak tree leaves from the Ingleside area around here. That's one of the areas that you could find some good leaves. Now, a lot of times people would say, oh, well, if I have live oak tree leaves down under my ground, I notice that I get a lot of grubs. Well, when you have mulch in your garden, you do have some grubs in there, but that's the reason why I put the mulch on my footpaths, right? Instead of putting it in on top of my stuff. And I appreciate the wildlife, like skunks and other things that come in and actually dig up and eat the grubs out. So I'm not concerned about putting mulch on my footpaths because it actually blocks things out, and I'm okay with that, right? So one of the first things that you see in benefits to using mulch in your gardens is aesthetics, right? And aesthetics also leads to not just aesthetics or how something looks pretty, but it's also how it maintains the weeds and pushes the weeds back. So one of the things you're gonna run into Bermuda grass in your gardens. You're gonna run into seeds that come over as floods and different wind and things blow the mulch away and things change in your garden, or some seeds fall off of a flower or any other kind of volunteer vegetable. Like I've got this pumpkin that grows across. You are going to have things that grow over into your mulched areas. But the way to manage that is to continually keep mulching and weed eating or mowing. And so give yourself plenty of room to come through with a weed eater if you need to, or even a lawnmower if you can. Over in my other big garden on the edge over there, I've got a nice row of mulch over there as well, but I just go through with a push mower. Well, every year after I've gone through with the push mower, this is my time of year that I actually like to mulch. I mulch between November and then toward the end of April in my gardens. And the second reason of good benefit that you would want to stay focused on certain times of years is because The mulch actually helps to regulate the soil temperature. And so you don't want to create too much heat. So stay away from it in the summertime, but all of the rest of the year it's going to help you cool the soil, and actually the soil will stay cooler even in the summertime underneath where it's maintaining the moisture. And in the wintertime, it's actually going to create a lot of warmth in your garden to protect your plants from freezes. So of course, right before freeze season, you're going to want to make sure that you're putting in a lot of mulch in your garden. So you've already heard me mention two major benefits of having mulch in your garden. The first one is aesthetics and covering your weeds. It looks pretty, and it'll also help you to get rid of those weeds that you don't want to see in your garden and you don't want to have growing up where you're trying to walk, okay? The second thing is it helps to balance the soil temperatures. It helps to keep the soil in the summertime underneath cool, and it helps to keep the plants around it warm in the wintertime when you want things to stay protected from the freeze. Same thing when you're talking about protecting your trees. You want to mulch around your trees, same type of thing. The third thing is, and part of this is what helps to regulate the soil temperature, is that it's going to retain moisture, okay? So we have floods that come through, especially in Texas and South Texas. We have heavy thunderstorms that bring in lots of rain, and then we have a major drought that goes without rain for a really long time. Well, what happens when that happens is that major flow comes through our gardens, or we get heavy, deep water holes in our gardens, and it's muddy, we can't get into our gardens, all of that kind of stuff. Well, we actually want to be able to retain that water. We don't want it to just wash away everything that's in our garden and take our dirt with it. We want that water to stay there, right? And then it'll stay there, and that's how we can do that different type of irrigation ourselves too. In addition to what happens with the rain and the weather, we can use the irrigation where you every 4 days make sure you flood your garden. So that helps us retain the moisture. The fourth thing is that it actually protects underneath the soil. It actually protects what's going on down underneath here. So as I pull this back, you're going to see moisture. You're going to see lots of moisture here. But you're also going to see that there's life under here. So there would be some different types of roly-poly bugs. There might be some different types of earthworms. And of course, those guys will kind of come up as things decompose. They'll come up as with the rain, they'll come up to the top of the soil. But then underneath that is also the microbiotic life and the mycelium, the fungi, the protozoas, all the stuff that lives in our soil. So we're protecting our soil life. That's an important part to understand. So if we're protecting our soil life, then we also want to make sure that we're adding organic matter or feeding our soil life. And so as this mulch starts to break down, it actually creates food for our for the life that's in the soil, for all of those mycelium. The mycelium eats the sugar, the carbon, and then it grows a stronger network. That network of mycelium helps our plants to access more food. All of the protozoa, all of the earthworms, all the things that move the nutrients all around in the soil are being fed by the carbon that is produced by the breakdown of the organic matter, the mulch that we're putting in the soil. All of that stuff is important because you want to continue to maintain all of that life in your soil. You want to maintain the moisture that keeps things nice and cool, that helps balance those temperatures, just like I said, and it's just simply making things look a whole lot nicer. As that stuff starts to decompose, you start to begin to understand what you're doing is what I call composting in place. In some of my garden beds up in the front, you'll have seen that I have taken, as I was weeding my garden, as a matter of fact, here's an example. If I take these potato plants out, I'm going to throw them back down in my rows. I'm going to place them down here, and they're going to become a part of the organic matter. They're going to become a part of the composting in place. So I actually don't have massive composting bins or anything like that. Instead, what I do is I compost right inside of my garden beds. In addition to that, next season when I come in to plant some new stuff, all of that stuff has started to break down. So it's done everything to protect and create a really healthy soil life in there. But in addition to that, it's now created some good soil for me to use. And so I can pull back some of that mulch, and underneath it, I'm gonna have some really good organic topsoil with a lot of composted material inside of it, the breakdown of all of the mulch that I've been using. And I'm gonna be able to pull that up on top and use that to cover up some of my seeds and stuff like that. So that's where I might do some of the little bit of soil disturbance, whereas I don't till or do any of that. I don't till my row in between my footpaths. I don't do any of that. I keep it covered with mulch, and I wanna keep all of that stuff alive. I'm basically protecting. On this section, I'm growing potatoes. On this section, I'm growing healthy soil. So I'm a soil farmer, just like I am a vegetable farmer or a flower farmer or any of that kind of stuff. So let's walk over here really quick, just for a short, and just take a peek at, before we walk over there, take a peek at all my pretty squash. I've got some vining pumpkins that are coming on. Look at those nice suckers right there. And then I've got lots of little yellow squash that are coming on over here. Beans are starting to grow. I also have some cucumbers. Let's see, I was hoping I'd see one real easily, but this is a cucumber vine, so you kind of keep an eye on those little yellow flowers and start looking for, let's see, do I see a cucumber here anywhere? They'll be soon taking over, and I'll have to be keeping an eye on. The beans are starting to set. I have been harvesting a lot of beans, and I see a bean right here that's a perfect size to harvest. It can get a little bit bigger than that, but when you like them young and fresh, that's a good size right there. So this garden right here, of course, it's got the beans, the cucumbers, the squash. I've got some peppers in there, so this is my hot pepper section. So that's what's going on over here in this garden. Let's walk over to the mulch a little bit, and we'll round out today. If you guys have any questions, feel free to always ask them of me. And then I'll come back and check on this messaging here over the next couple of days too, just to see if there's any messages over there as well. Before we jump off, I want to make sure and remind you all that I do garden healing here at the farm every Monday. Now tomorrow, I just want to let you know, I'm going to be closing up the farm at 4 o'clock because I have an appointment with a coaching client, and so I'll have to close up and take off and meet her in town. But it's a good time to come out in the morning. Come out around 9 a.m., 10 a.m. We'll work till close to lunch. If you want to stay with me for lunch, bring your own lunch. We'll share lunch time together. And then, of course, I do my live with the Course in Miracles study group at noon every Monday as well. If you're ever interested in that, just message me and I'll give you some more information about what that's about and how you can get involved in my group. It's a weekly live, and it's a lot of fun. It's a very in-depth daily spiritual practice that I've been going through for the last 2 years of my life. Also, I launched a May 20th organic gardening class here at the farm. Yesterday was the April one. It was fantastic. The weather was perfect. The garden is amazing. We had a nice sized group out here and had a great time with that. And if you're looking for some coaching help or some consulting on your homestead, reach out to me. I'm still doing my special right now for both of those two projects as well. It's 2 hours for $77, and I come to you. For the garden coaching stuff, 2 hours for $77. If you're interested in consulting, there's a little bit of a price difference there. It includes a little bit more. And then, of course, I'm also doing my food is medicine coaching as well. And so I can help you out with transitioning your diet towards taking some of the things you might need to take out of it for a special diet as well. And don't forget, the Dinner Table Talks podcast comes out. This week is launched with the unhinged homesteader, my friend Cassie Benechik. She is amazing, and we get the chance to talk a little bit about being two kooky, resilient women and how we make it through this world, and how kooky, resilient women tend to find each other, or path interrupters tend to find each other. So it's really nice to be able to connect with her on Dinner Table Talks and have some delicious beef curry soup. So last but not least, let me just show you that I do use a ton of mulch. We put mulch in any of the low spots in my backyard. If I see, like, there's this one deep low spot where I've put in a pecan tree that's always retaining water in there. I put the pecan tree there because it retains water there. So now what I want to do is go in heavily mulch around that pecan tree, and then eventually I'll go in and plant other types of perennial flowers and even annual flowers in that mulch around the pecan tree and make that a really pretty little garden area as well. In addition to that, once the land gets a little bit drier after all the rain we've had, we'll take with the tractor this over to the chicken coop and dump it over into the chicken coop and give the the hens some more fresh organic matter in their soil, which also helps, same thing, helps keep the soil in their pen a lot healthier, which means they're going to be able to dig up a lot more creatures. They're going to find a lot more things in the soil that they're going to eat on as well. And it also just generally keeps them healthy if you have a thick layer of mulch. How do I find this mulch? Okay, that's a big question. The number one best thing you can do is to be available and reach out to any of the landscapers, tree trimmers that have a wood chipping truck that they take with them, okay? Reach out to them. There are two in Corpus Christi that I know of for sure that are easy to get a hold of that both will do this service. One of them is Southern Tree, and that's Anthony, and the other one is Tree Amigos, and I think the guy's name is John over there. Reach out to them and let them know that you are available to receive mulch on your property. What does available to receive it means? It means that when they're near your house or in your neighborhood or close to you or driving by you, that they can just come by. They can text you and say, hey, I'm on my way, do you need mulch? And that you have an easy place for them to dump it. Once they've established that you are an easy place for them to dump stuff to, then you want to keep friends with your friends, right? So you want to share with them some of your fresh vegetables, tell the community to support their tree trimming business, become an interlocking system of friends that are helping each other out. That's how I get this. My friend is Miller Navarro. He is with M&S Tree Trimming, and he mostly works in the Taft and Portland, Texas area. So if you're in the Taft or Portland, Texas area, reach out to Miller. One of my clients who's in the Taft area, she reaches out to him and has an easy, available place to have a dump, and he dumps in her yard as well. She does the same type of gardening that I do. We're working, and I'm helping her get better at how she's getting all that stuff set up as she moves into the future, gaining the confidence that she needs to have more success on her land, and finding the materials that we're looking for. So thanks again to Miller, and I need to get by and drop Miller off some good fresh veggies, some of that good beans, cucumbers, potatoes, squash, all that good stuff that's coming out of my garden over there. So be sure to connect up with the people in your community that are supporting local, that are supporting regenerative agriculture, that are growing nutrient-dense food for you. And if I can help you out with anything, please reach out to me. I love you all. It is a beautiful Sunday. Go outside, get some fresh air, get some sunshine, go to the beach, play outside with your kids, throw the ball, kick the soccer ball, dig in your gardens, get your hands in the dirt, and have an enjoyable week. I love you, and I'll see you all very soon.